Hello, all of my amazing goddesses. Welcome into our Unapologetic Woman Hour. Today we are talking about something juicy, ladies. Money, 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 money. And we're going to be having this conversation with the beautiful Kate Phillips, who I'm going to introduce in a minute. For those of you, yes, look at her go. I love it. For those of you that are unaware, this Unapologetic Woman Hour is a time for us to have a space and in container to have conversations about specific topics, different industries, or different things going on in this world in a way that is fully us, unapologetically ourselves, stepping into that vulnerability as well as that authenticity. And today I want to have a wonderful yet bold conversation with Kate around money, because I think in particular around women, we have been redefining money, and there's so much more that we can do, as well as so much more that's beginning to happen. So I, without further ado, would love for you, Kate, to introduce yourself to my community here.
Thank you so much, Tracy. You know, I'm a big fan of you and all of the good work that you do. And I think there's something about the fact, you know how great minds think alike. You are Tracy's total wellness, and my business is total wealth. So we are both like integrative thinkers.
Yes.
And in my total wealth business, I named it that years ago because I think we tend to approach money from this really narrow place. And, you know, there's financial planners or brokers, they approach it from their standpoint. And then maybe if you go to like prosperity work, you know, it's like, let's raise our wealth vibration. But even that is narrow. And I wanted to bring the pieces together and say, we need mindset. We need to be aware of energy. And there's also like these real world money things and real world actions. I take what I would call, I guess, a personal growth and transformation perspective on money. And that's how it ended up being total wealth.
Total wealth, total wellness. I love it. And I it just hit me that, yeah, our business names are very aligned. It's a perfect opportunity for us to have this conversation, because I think what you are touching on is right, is especially for if we want to look at wealth and money, there's a total view approach to it. It's not one way. There's many different ways to look at it. And there's also, I I think of wealth as being a part of wellness. Like
Yeah.
when we are able to feel empowered around money and we feel abundant and we are generating money and generating the value that we hold for that money, it allows us to feel well. Like it's part of wellness.
Absolutely. The root of the word wealth, I believe it's an old Welsh word, and the root of it had to do with well-being. And there's a saying that wealth is, or money is not the most important thing in the world, but it touches everything that is. And that is so true. Sometimes it's easy to get into resistance, like, I don't want to be a millionaire or whatever, those rich people over there, and yada, yada, yada. And yet, we need to be taking control of our money and our wealth. We need to be participants in the economy and creating change, whether that's through giving or the way that we spend, the way that we invest. Like, these things make a difference, and we should not be surrendering our power in the world of wealth.
Yes, I want to touch on this because it's inspiring me. What we are saying is, we have if we want to just look at it in the land of astrology, whether everybody knows what that is or not, they have an idea. They've heard of horoscopes or something. We're in the age of Aquarius. It's that time for things to be redefined, and we are moving in this up leveling and igniting of feminine energy. And I'm feeling it, especially in the land of wealth. But we're seeing it everywhere, where feminine energy is all about free flowing expression. And it can only be free flowing with a safe masculine energy, which is the container. And I think for a while now, we've been working on clearing out and taking down structures of the masculine energy that were toxic, that didn't support the feminine energy. And so I'm seeing this twofold in the way that the women are working, in the way that feminine energy is arising, is that we're not just conforming to the old way and figuring out how we can fit in with the old way and then make our mark in the old way. We're redefining it completely
Hmm.
and operating in a way where we thrive. And I see it, obviously a lot in the work that I do, especially with women and honoring themselves, like having this unconditional love for self and stepping into their own power, stepping into their own healing capabilities, having a soul's purpose. That stuff, like way back before, was not something that people thought someone could make money doing. We're also, seeing a surge in small businesses and how, like, these entrepreneurship and all of that, and how it can allow wealth to be created in a new way. So I would like love your thoughts, because to me, I see it as we're redefining the masculine energy, the structure of wealth in this world, as well as finding new ways to have that free flowing expression within it.
There are some big things happening. I'm going to go really like big picture here. One is what's happening with women and money. And when we pull back and we look at maybe, 100-year trend, I mean, 100 years ago, it was not normal for women to be in the workforce. It was an anomaly when that happened. And, we didn't have things that would, help us with our menstrual cycles. So that
Yeah.
was one thing that kept women home. And then there was, cultural, it was really like World War II. And they were like, we need women in the workforce. They need to be doing things while the men are off fighting. And then we were like, hey, we like being part of the workforce. And that really was the beginning of it even being acceptable. And so when I hear we have stories, and I look at money stories, not only personal ones, but the cultural ones. And I've got a program launching next week called Rewrite My Money Story. So I am immersed in money story stuff. And there's this money story that says, oh, women only make 7 cents on the dollar, or 70 cents on the dollar, which may be true, but that is not the whole story. When we look at the whole story, we go, oh, actually now, we need to update these stories, because in 2021, or even back in like 2018, there was a study done showing that young women entering the workforce who don't have the mindset, haven't lived through times of greater suppression, like they were more likely to be hired and earning more money than their male counterparts. More women are graduating from college now than men. Corporations are under all kinds of pressure to put women in leadership. There has never been a better time to be a woman in leadership or the workforce or in business than now. And we need to update our stories.
Yes. Can we get a hell yes? Woo!
So let's update our stories. Like, we are not victims. We are not powerless. Have we fought our way through stuff? Yes, we have. But women have incredible economic power these days. Are we on equal footing? Well, no, we're overcoming a long history. And there's other factors why women don't make as much, is because women still, glory hallelujah, have the choice. Stay home with your child if you want to, be a mom, or take time off for a few years while your children are young. Or women choose to work fewer hours than men. Maybe we don't want to work 50 hours a week.
Yes,
So
that's another hell yes.
yeah, exactly. Like, so it's not necessarily a bad thing if women are making less than men, and if you're not looking at, are they doing the same work? Are they working the same hours? This could actually be the result of powerful choices that women are making. When I was in real estate, I was a realtor for 8.5 years. And I know that is work where women earn, anybody, it's commission only. You earn exactly what you have sold. You are paid exactly what you are worth, what you have produced. And there's no glass ceiling. And I noticed that it was always, usually, not always, but usually men who were the higher earners in that field. But when I dug into it a little more, I realized it was because women, when they reach a certain threshold, maybe it's six figures, maybe it's 150,000 a year or 200,000 a year, the woman says, I'm done. I've conquered that. Now I'm going to go travel. I'm going to spend more time with my kids. Like, the women are not as motivated necessarily to, get to that $250,000 or $500,000 figure, whereas the man is like, there's more mountain to climb, I'll work 70 hours a week. And as women, we're more like, higher on our priority list might be relationships, might be self-care. That's a good thing.
That's great. Yeah. So I mean, I know you're seeing it. I'm seeing it. I'm also feeling it. When we, talk about being unapologetic, I think what you just mentioned about our needs, if we allow our needs to be met, then we can truly thrive in,
Yeah.
whether it be our money, whether it be our health goals, whatever it is. If we're able to just nail down that part and listen to the wisdom that we have within and allow our needs to be met. And I'm seeing a trend of women asking for what they want more.
Mm, mm. I was listening to a Facebook Live yesterday. Shamika Tankerson, I know we both know Shamika, talk about a powerful woman and somebody who is earning unbelievable amounts of money. And she brings it back to self-care. And she asked us a question. She said, what are you no longer willing to tolerate in your life and in your business? And I couldn't really think of anything at first, and then I thought, gosh, I'm going to go think about that. And I went for a walk and I came back, and then this whole thing just like surged out of me, and it was all around, I'm no longer tolerating giving away my power. And I started to see all the little ways that, like, oh my gosh, I'm still giving away my power in these ways, compromising what I want, caretaking another's feelings, playing small or quiet, and I am not quiet. Anybody who knows me, like, I'm really not, but sometimes I play that way. Being afraid to speak up, worrying about offending others, apologizing when I did nothing wrong, giving away time I did not agree to, porous boundaries, poor sleep, missed workouts or yoga, too much screen time, not enough sunshine, deprivation or exhaustion, kind of the self-imposed thing, like, no, you don't get to go for a walk until you finish that, marketing email or whatever. Yeah. Giving away my power, caring what people think, especially people who are not paying me, and for not believing in my brilliant, amazing, beautiful self. So those are the things I am no longer tolerating. And I'll share that list if anybody else wants to give an amen. They absolutely can. And if you'll let me, I want to go back. You were saying about how you're seeing like this shift, the age of Aquarius, and we're moving into more creativity. I think we've got a battle going on right now. When you look at um, the coronavirus policies and lockdowns, there was a great wealth transfer in the last year and a half, from the middle class to the billionaire class. And you look at how so many small businesses were closed or shut, either put out of business permanently or kind of kneecapped temporarily. And the money flowed to Jeff Bezos and Amazon and some of these big places. And then, well, I won't go into media biases. Jeff Bezos owns Washington Post, and I noticed there was a theme of kind of this pro lockdown. Now, you live in Florida, and things were very different in Florida than they were here in Washington State. And this is not a political thing at all, even though it gets framed that way. But we have to support small businesses, whether they're women owned or owned by people of color or just owned by awesome local people. There is this battle right now that I'm seeing, and small businesses are under attack in so many different ways, and we've got to stand our ground, because government will never, no matter what party's in charge, like, government cannot pay us or make up for the loss that will happen, that has already happened, when small businesses go under. So we've got to be using our creativity and standing together and standing our ground, that we can make our own way in the world, and we're not going to surrender that territory to the huge multinational corporations and Mr. Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, it's exactly what's happening, Kate, and I'm glad you brought it to the forefront. And it is, when you say we're under attack, it's, if we look at it, in the realm that I work in the spiritual realm, we're in a shift. The shift is going to happen no matter what. But those that want to stay stuck in the old way or live in the old way, are right now having ego temper tantrums, and finding out how to manipulate or complain about everything so that their way can stay. And it's that aspect of them at a deeper soul level that's not ready to, however people want to explain it, level up, transcend, grow, change. It's happening. Now, it either can happen with a level of ease or it can happen with struggle. And what you're saying, and why I am all for just the energetics behind small business and what it brings, and the creativity and the soul of a small business can operate at a different level than a soul of a corporation can. It's something that's different. Is we're all here on this planet or earth to create whatever is our soul's journey, is our purpose, however you want to put it. But some just, they love their journey to be like an action hero movie. Some people want their journey to be a rom-com. Some people, want their journey to be otherwise. And I think for too long, those of us that wanted our journey to look a certain way weren't speaking up enough. And now we're moving. The age of Aquarius happened, but we can see it in the trends of those that are starting to kind of speak up, come out, find ways to express. And so we're finding we're constantly in these moments of the battleground, or the arena, as Brene Brown calls it. And the thing is, those that show up to the arena, she likes to say around boundary work, if you expect to have to fight, you're always going to be in a fight. But if you expect to stand in your own power, you're never having to constantly fight off the enemy. And I think for any of you that are listening now, we're in a threat, as you're mentioning, right, Kay? We're in this threat that these other we want to call them corporations, those that are living in the past or the ego only, are there. But it's like, no, the more of us that just connect to that, the divine flow that's happening, however woo you believe that is, you don't have to expect to fight all the time. And I saw it in my business. I'm a small business owner. I don't like to say the word survive, but I was able to get through the pandemic without having to shut my business down. And sometimes I have to have people remind me that that's a wonderful thing, because I'm seeing all the time, small businesses closing their doors or the struggles they had to go through. But for me, yes, I want to honor, acknowledge it's a big thing. But for me, it was like there wasn't another way. Like shutting my doors wasn't an option, because it's my soul's journey. It's my purpose to do this work. And so if we look at it in that way, the creativity, the money we want to earn, all these things are possible when we're operating in here, because we're on the right vibration. So I know you're seeing this too, probably with, clients, with the work that you do. It's that deeper level stuff too. It's, yes, this practical work is so important, and we need to know structures. We need to understand how things operate. And I'm just seeing more and more that people that are just connected to their inner light, the people that are connected to their soul, are the ones like doing what Shamika's doing.
Yeah, yeah. I do see a lot of people starting new businesses now. And I think it was this shakeup of, when the pandemic is approaching our shores, and, everything was so up in the air, it produces this. I mean, I felt it too. And I think what you accomplished in moving your business online and focusing in different areas. I know now you're able, I'm sure, to do massage and yoga also in person again as well. But it was extraordinary what you accomplished in using your creativity to do that. But what I'm seeing now is a lot of new businesses opening, and I think people, they had time to think. And a lot of people said, I'm not going back to that job or that work, or they use the time to start something else that was just more true to them, closer to their. It doesn't mean it is going to be easy, because I think we both know that the entrepreneurial journey, it's the greatest personal growth challenge you will ever have. You get to face every demon and conquer fears, and work through your imposter syndrome and all of that stuff. It's a lot easier to show up somewhere, punch a clock, and know that we'll be given things to do and a paycheck will arrive, or money shows up in your bank account. But I really honor this journey of the creative and soul-driven entrepreneurs, because the world needs us and our gifts.
Yeah. Well, then this kind of ties into the next question I'm feeling inspired to ask is, what do you see as possible? We're going to have things occur. Like, we know what could happen with the economy. We're seeing what had occurred with the big businesses, and what could happen. But what do you see could be possible as well?
In the last recession, and the Great Recession of 2007, 2008, 2009, it was a tough time. It was a really tough time for me. I ended up, if you know my story, my claim to fame is I'm the wealth coach who lost everything, because I had a lot of real estate, and real estate got hit really, really hard during that time. But one thing that I learned was that prosperity is not limited to dollars. And I know that may sound super obvious, but when you're like, oh, like massage was something that I really valued. And I was in a place where I was like, I can't even justify paying for massages right now. Like I was just struggling to pay bills, and I was caregiving my father. It was this perfect storm of, some bad economy and bad circumstances. And I thought, well, I need to focus on my intentions. And then I need to not be distracted by the dollars that I have or don't have in my bank account. Like when that is our playground, that's a really limited way to operate. But when we operate from the energy of giving and receiving, and we know that there are many ways to create value and receive value, I think within about 48 hours, I had an agreement with a new massage therapist that I had met at a networking event. And she needed some marketing coaching and I wanted some massage. And so, we made a deal. And I think we're going into a time where the powers that be, the powers that think they think they rule over us, um, there, there's a move towards controlling more and more land, more and more property, more and more of the food sources, all of these things. And this is where we need to be standing our ground, standing our power, and not relinquishing those things, but instead creating more ways. During last year, there was a story that was so amazing. It just made me cry, of this dairy farm that they normally sold to, their milk was packaged up and went to cafeterias and restaurants and all of the places that were closed down. And you have to milk a cow every day. You can't store that milk for 6 months or whatever. Like, this is a time sensitive business. And the dairy farm knew that they were probably weeks away from being out of business. And they put it out in the community and they said, will you come buy milk from us? That wasn't normally what they did. They normally had these other supply chains, but with the supply chain interruptions, their business was gone. And they learned how to pasteurize the milk themselves. This dairy farmers, they worked like around the clock for a week. And then, like, that next Saturday, there was this 2-mile line of cars of people in the community coming to say, yes, we will buy milk from you because we value our local farmers and our businesses. This is where we need to go. It is going to be person to person and being self-reliant, and whether it's bartering or buying or Bitcoining, things may get, we seem to have survived things fairly well. And, the stock market is higher than it was before the pandemic, which seems a little almost counterintuitive. But I don't think we've seen the last of the pain. And we just need to enter into whatever happens with creativity and with love and with power, and creating those solutions for ourselves.
Yeah, it's what I'm hearing from that story, and I've heard your story before and maybe others haven't, is we, at every opportunity, we get asked, how much do you value yourself? Like, how much do you honor who you are? Because that will be reflected in the choices that you make. And these dairy farmers valued what they did. They valued the work that they offered, and it gave them enough creativity and willpower to make that change. The other, people in the town, they had their own values that were strong enough for them to make that choice. And so many people, I think, have gotten lost. It's interesting. It kind of weaves back into what we were talking about way at the beginning. Is I was looking at some new research just to have for some talks and some specific things I want to start sharing with my own community. And there was this group of palliative nurses that worked in hospitals, and they worked only with those on their deathbeds. That's what their job was. And they decided to turn it into this research. And they found, after it was quite a while, I have to look at the article again, but it was an extensive research program they set up, that the number one regret people have before they die is that they wish they would have lived their life according to what they wanted, not what they thought others thought they should do.
Mm.
And now they said the second one was more men than women said they wish they didn't work so hard.
Ah, yeah, yeah. They were too busy getting to the top of the mountain to notice the view along the way.
Yeah. Okay. So I like to say when I see these studies, um, it makes me it motivates me in a way that's like, duh. It's like, listen to the people that are about to die. Like their life is about to end. And if they're consistently saying something, they're probably not bullshitting us. They're probably speaking truth, which everybody nowadays wants to say, this is my truth, this is my truth. Because I think for so long we were being suffocated to not speak at all, that now everybody's just like, blah. Let's listen to the authentic truth that's out there. And if people are saying these two things, to me, that gives us the wealth and prosperity that we all deserve to live. We don't have to work so freaking hard to get it. And do what we feel like we want to do, not what we think others think we should do. And it's a powerful way to operate if we just look at it in those two ways. The two biggest regrets before people die.
Well, I'm going to give it a whole different spin and the
Okay.
whole wealth thing, because bringing together that mindset and that money, and I want to agree, first affirm with everything you just said. I helped write and edit a book a few years ago called Busting the Retirement Lies. Kim Butler is the author of that book, but I edited and helped contribute to it. And it looks at, like, the earlier we can go to work that we love, take on, whether it's a business or freelancing or a different career, work that we love, the better. Because when we go spend time doing something we don't want to do, that is not empowering. But in the money and mindset realm, there's also a realm of reality. And one thing that the women, I work mostly with women around their money, and I see a lot of regrets of women who maybe are in that 60s to 70s, maybe even 80s, where if they would have taken certain steps earlier in life to save a little more. So maybe it's not working more, but maybe it's noticing, money represents our life energy. And what is that life energy being spent on? And sometimes with some little, you might have heard of the latte factor. It's like few less lattes, few less happy hour drinks, maybe a little less clothing or whatever. Like we can take some of that, we can redirect some of that life energy that's bleeding out in certain purchases and take care of our future selves. Because I have never met a woman in her 70s who wished that she had saved less or regretted buying a house. Like if women in their 70s, if they don't own their own home, they feel very vulnerable at a time where maybe they are retiring from traditional work, but now they don't have control over their own living space. The rent could go up, it could be sold, they could have to move, and then they're locked into paying rent month after month and increasing rent, where they might be on more of a fixed income. I hate that phrase, because when somebody says I'm on a fixed income, I sometimes say, that's horrible. Who fixed it for you? Because again, we need to take that ownership of, like, this is my life. I created, I get to create it any way I want. I'm not planning on being on a fixed income. I've been teaching myself to invest and loving that, in that adventure. So that's what, we're talking about unapologetic women. And I think women should be unapologetic about building wealth, claiming their wealth, prioritizing wealth, not in a way that is going to drain us, or, oh, I have to go work 60 hours a week, but in a way that excites us, where we are wealth should be part of self-care.
Yes.
And when we make those spending and saving decisions, we need to be aware that we need to take care of our future selves, that 70, that 80, that 90-year-old self that we will someday be. And we need to be kind and caring to her.
Yeah. I I I think that's why our work supports one another so well, is because I help those focus on, because for so many of us, if we don't heal past traumas, we just are constantly having to like triage our past selves, and we're never able to take care of our future self. It's
Yeah.
like when we can uncover past trauma, we can heal it, we can nurture those aspects of it. It gives our future self the opportunity to truly thrive. And when we look at wellness, we want to look at it all. It is our past self, our present self, and our future self. If we want to look at wellness, taking care of the wounds that we are still bringing with us from the past, so that we can then nurture and empower the future self of it all. So yeah, it kind of comes full circle, like all together. And it's true. And thankfully, I grew up with parents that and making sure that I was set up at an early age, and doing all those kind of things was a part of my daily life. Now, for some people, it wasn't. And what I want to inspire everyone, whatever age you are, like listening to this conversation, it's better to figure it out now than figure it out later. So you've figured it out now, wherever you are. It's what are the next steps that you want to take? How do you want to nurture your future self, and how do you want to take care of the wounds of your past self, and give you the opportunity to live your life the way you want to, not the other shooting kind of aspect. Because I think if it wasn't for that, I myself in that first recession was when I entered the workforce for the first time. It was during 2007, 2008 recession, in kind of what a lot of people back then would have said was things that people made as treats. Like I was a massage therapist, just as you said. So I'm entering a workforce where people are spending money on the thing that I was so excited to do. And so I got kind of thrust into the workforce and thrust into, becoming a business owner right during the recession. And I had to, learn my hurdles. But I say to people, it's like, I'm still doing it for a reason. I might have my why God, why days. My God, why? And we've all probably had them, but I wouldn't trade it in for anything. I would, you probably assume Kate, would agree as well, what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I spent the last 10 or 11 years, my bread and butter was as a financial writer and doing financial blogging and articles and newsletters and editing books, etc. And that was good. It was really overlapping with my own mission. But I'm now totally solo because I'm really clear there's such a need to help people create a new financial future and do that in a holistic way. And self-care and massages and yoga and all, like, it is all connected.
I love it. So anything that you want to just close on or zip up that we haven't either discussed or anything before we kind of bring this full circle?
No, this has been great. I thank you so much for having me, featuring me on the Unapologetic Woman Hour. And anybody that I know that is listening to this, I will direct you to Tracy's Total Wellness, and this conversation is being streamed in the Pursuit of Happiness Facebook group. So you want to check out Tracy. She does awesome events for entrepreneurs, networking events, quarterly retreats. And I want to just give her a big plug. I have enjoyed and attend as often as I can some of her events. Really some amazing heart-to-heart networking that I know it was something you were doing face-to-face, and you took it to the international Zoom room last year when necessary. And so I was blessed to be included in things that normally I may not have been able to attend.
Yeah, it's been an honor, Kate. And for those of you that are part of my community, just so you could share your name, your business, and how they can get in touch with you, and any invitation you have for them would be wonderful.
Absolutely. Kate Phillips with Total Wealth. My website is at totalwealthcoaching.com. I would also direct you. Oh, and I've got, you can find me Total Wealth on Facebook as well. And I would direct you to go to Total Wealth Gift, because I've got an awesome gift for everybody. It's actually a bundle of resources at Total Wealth Gift, and you will get my 22-page guide, which is Breakthrough to Abundance: 4 Reasons Why You're Stressing Over Money and How to Break the Cycle Forever. And there's also, you'll get some of my best of articles, and there is a video or maybe a couple of videos in there. And then we'll be connected then, and you will get a ticket to my next free training. I do periodic free trainings that people really love. And you'll also know about programs that I have coming up, like Rewrite My Money Story or Wealth School, that kind of thing. So I do programs around mindset, programs around money, and Wealth School is going to be really that integration of everything. Because the real reasons why people struggle with money, they usually don't have anything to do with maybe the things that we think. We might think, oh, I need to earn more money, but it may just be that we need to take action on things that we already know, or clear out
Yep.
blockages, or stop self-sabotage. And so I
Yes.
encourage you to go grab those resources and stay connected with me.
Thank you, Kate. Yes, please, anyone in my community, please check Kate out. She has a wealth of knowledge, is also an inspirational kind of energy behind what she does in the work that she offers. And I love to close these conversations out with asking you, Kate, what is it to you to be unapologetic?
It is unapologetic. It is just being true to myself and living and operating in my power.
I love
That's
it.
it.
Well, thank you, Kate, for joining me today. And thank you all that joined us here. We were doing a special live stream of this, and thank you all that are listening to this up after the live stream. We're here to support you, and I look forward to being with you again at our next Unapologetic Woman Hour. Be well, everybody.
Thank you, Tracy.